that you cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. That's why I believe if we are fortunate enough to win back the House and/or the Senate, that's when civility can start again. But until then, the only thing that the Republicans seem to recognize and respect is strength.
Good morning, everyone. Today is the 11th of October, 2018. I'm Roy Potter. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. No, it's no more civility. And of course, the Democratic Party, primarily Clinton, HRC, Eric Holder, those types are saying that we have gone past, Trump has gone past the point of civility, when in fact, for the last few years, they've been taking our country down the road of Leninist Marxism, leftist Marxism. That's what they've been doing. And now that that is being turned around, they're complaining that we're not being civil. As I've said all along, these people are seditionists. These people are even traitors. That's strong language, but I'm sick and tired of people like Hillary Clinton coming out and sounding like the Democrats and the leftist Democrats, the leftist Marxists, and I know there's some disagreements on what those terms should mean, but they're acting like the victims because we're turning around. Trump is trying to turn around many, many years, actually decades, of losing our constitutional republic. As you all know, and I'm preaching to the choir, and I know that, all of you are aware that their entire movement has been to take away Americans' ability to make a living, take away their God-given constitutionally protected rights, alter the meaning of the Constitution, and insist that their interpretation is beyond question. And if you do question it, then you're not civil anymore. They start Antifa. They started, I mean, this has been going on for a long time. They send the BLM after ranchers, like the Bundy situation. They allow for all of these false flags to try, all of this. And they sell us out to China, even Russia, giving our uranium to Russia. It just goes on and on and on, and yet we're being non-civil. We're not showing civility because we won't take it anymore. But they act like they're the victims. That should tell you something. They're saying that we're not civil, so what is their answer? We're not going to be civil anymore. Isn't that what she said? We can't approach this with civility anymore. They never have. They've never been civil. Their idea of being civil is you agree with us 100% in our takedown of America, or you're our enemy. You're the enemy of our country. We want our country back, they'll say. Their country back. Notice how they say that. Well, like I say, I'm preaching to the choir. I wanted to open up with Hillary Clinton. Why is she not in prison yet? Because she has very, very powerful people protecting her. Maybe even, as you would know him, Lucifer himself. And yes, it really is looking like she is his consort. Certainly not Bill Clinton's. So it's been, a rough few days here, really. And a lot of, if you're watching Sean Hannity, if you're listening to Tucker Carlson, any of those types of people, you'll see the type of craziness that's going on in the Democratic Party. And as I said the other day, they're no longer a centrist Democratic Party. They are the party of the radical leftists, which is kind of saying the same thing twice. But that's what they are. I saw a comment the other day. I don't know if it was on chat or whatever. I was looking for something and went through one of those, and somebody commented, well, the Democrats are the left, they are the radicals. And that is what they have become. And it's unfortunate that we are doing this, but that was going to happen. But the important thing to remember here is that for these people, they don't care if they don't make sense, if they sound unreasonable, if they project onto other people. Because remember, their entire agenda is to cause dissent, division, and the breakdown of the American constitutional system. So they don't care that they turn these things around. If you tell them, why are you lying about that historically? All they'll do is just say, we're not lying, you are. See, they're just going to turn around. They're not going to answer you in any reasonable, logical way, as I've said before. They're just going to accuse you, right? That's what they do. Old tactic. And it's been around for a long time. And we are afraid of that because good people, remember what they said. It was either Trump or it was, I think Trump actually said it too, but I think it was actually Grassley. Could have been Lindsey Graham too. Maybe all three. Said good people aren't going to run for government if they see, especially qualified white males. And then once they take down the qualified white males, they go after the qualified white females. And I'm sorry, but that's just the case. Okay, that's what this is about. And I would love to go through the whole history of that, but people will, throw up their hands and get upset, and how causes a lot of fights on YouTube. But that's what it's about. Look what's going on in South Africa. I've pointed that out before. Look what's going on in Western Europe. This is a form of genocide, okay? Some places it's overt, like South Africa. Other places it's covert. Sneaky tactics, like in Western Europe and even in the United States. It's just the way it is. I thought we were colorblind. Okay, they've convinced us that we need to be colorblind. And I'm talking to everybody out there. I don't care what race, religion, creed, or color you are. None of those things. But when you single out any group like that, and you try to pretend like you're the civil side, you're lying. Okay, just flat out lying. So that's why I've named this video what I have. I could show a lot of others, right? Maxine Waters stirring people up, saying you confront these people in the restaurants, get in their faces, make them uncomfortable, all of that stuff. And of course, they stopped just short of saying violence, although Loretta Lynch did say, we need to, the people will die, right? Kind of an underhanded thing. But she has said that. Senator King, who was running with Clinton, said that we need to fight everywhere. And he said, fight in the streets. He actually said that. And we've had others. So their civility has never been there. They're the ones that began these attacks, taking down our institutions while we were sleeping, thinking that they were abiding by their oaths of office to protect, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, et cetera, so that we, the American people, are secure in our persons, places, papers, etc., freedom of travel, all of that. And really, we've lost so many rights. I should have put up this meme this morning again. I didn't put it up the other day, but a guy or someone put out this meme showing all the rights that we've lost in the last 100 years. Can't collect rainwater. Can't, they want to take away our Second Amendment. They've really restricted it quite a bit. All kinds of things on there. The right to privacy, etc. It really goes down the list. I think there were about 12 things. And of course, that's probably just the tip of the iceberg if we really examined it. But there are a lot of these other people that are calling for these same things. Now, if you remember, a few days ago, there was an individual, Antifa, or at least a left-winger, who kicked a pro-life supporter. Now, I don't know that Eric Holder, his statements helped that to come about, but he certainly didn't have anything bad to say about it. Let me show you, and I'm sure you've seen this too.
It is time for us as Democrats to be as tough as they are, to be as dedicated as they are, to be as committed as they are. Michelle always says, Michelle Obama, I love her, she and my wife like really tight, which always scares me and Barack. But Michelle always says that, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to point at the conservatives, the constitutional republic, defenders and supporters, and it's going to get worse than this. They're just getting wound up. it doesn't matter which way it goes in the midterm elections. If they lose the House and the Senate, or either or, they're going to get violent. If they win the House or the Senate, they're going to turn, just like they did against the Bundys, just like they have against President Trump and other people, Rand Paul, etc. They're going to turn the system around and go after those people that have supported the constitutional republic and what Trump has been trying to do. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter which way it goes in the vote in the midterms. That's what's going to happen. Now, a few people have laughed at that. I have a very good friend who says, no, it's not going to go to that civil war. And he's a very smart guy. He has a lot of information. And he says, no, it won't go there. I hear Dr. Pachinik saying, no, the republic is going to be just fine. Don't rest to the point where you go to sleep. Because obviously what's happening here is a preparation. Remember, if Hillary had gotten in, we knew this, all the people that were looking into it. If Hillary got in, the same types of things were going to happen that have happened since Trump got in. It's the idea of dismantling the system and making it dysfunctional. So they're going to continue on with this. That's the end goal. Because it's not so much the American people even anymore. Because so many of us have become decadent, sloppy, and I could use a lot of other adjectives, uninvolved, complacent, and a lot of other things. The American people as a whole have. What they have to do, because they really, with just the turn of a couple of things, the American people just follow right along as sheep. And a lot of people get upset with me for saying that. But I've seen it time and time and time again. Without a leader out there to pull us along, we don't do it. It's very rare. The thing at Bundy Ranch was very rare. The thing in Mount, with the Hammonds standing up, of course, they got taken advantage of. But a lot of other people. Look at Laura Loomer out there going after, the people in Las Vegas, the FBI and the Las Vegas sheriff there for covering up Las Vegas massacre. All of these things. So that's coming. And I just can't emphasize enough that that's what the real goal is. Whether Hillary gotten in or Trump, that's the actual goal, because the American people really aren't the problem. It's the principles. Like I've always said, it's principle, not personality. And the opposite side knows this too. You destroy a personality not because of who they are, but for what they think and what they stand for. And so what they're out to do is destroy the concept of the perfect law of liberty and the rights of the people under protected, the God-given rights protected by the Constitution of the United States, which they've been violating for years anyway. Look at Sessions going after civil asset forfeiture and things like that. So, it doesn't always matter what side, but remember that's where this is going. And this is our only opportunity to turn this tide. And even voting is going to be a problem. The end result is going to be probably the same either way. I mean, as far as political upheaval and violence happening in the streets. But Trump needs that mandate. Look, Trump still bothers me. I saw a statement the other day where he was asked why they're selling arms to Saudi Arabia, especially since we know, their involvement in 9/11 and these other things. And his answer? This troubled me. We need to sell arms to Saudi Arabia because we need to have them on our side, number one. Number two, because it's jobs for Americans. Yeah, while Saudis kill Yemeni civilians. And I've talked about the close relationship of Saudi Arabia and Israel for a long time. If you can't read between the lines, you need to learn to. Because there's some things you can't come out and say boldly, even though I've done that as well. The Israeli leadership and the Saudis are the same people. posing two different characters on a theatrical set. Their goal is the same. And the United States stands in the way, and we keep giving money to these people that are stabbing us in the back all the time. Lee Stranahan is probably in my estimation, he is probably the finest investigative reporter in the world. He's been shunned basically by the American media, and he works as a journalist for Sputnik. He has his radio show on Periscope in the morning with Nixon. If any of you have watched that, it's very good. He gets into a lot of information. But Stranahan, he's disrespected because he's willing to call by so many in the mainstream and in America generally, because he digs down to the facts. At the very least, people ought to hear what he's talking about, but he's suppressed. I think they took down his YouTube channel like a year ago or more. So he's been on Periscope and Twitter mostly. I'm surprised they haven't thrown him off Twitter. Lee Stranahan pointed something out. And this is one of the problems that we have in our country. And like I said, I've backed off criticizing Trump on this because I realize that he's our last hope. He really is. Other than God, he is our last hope. But we got to make sure that he stays on the straight and narrow. And it's our responsibility to do that as the people, because this is going to fall on us if he fails to restore the constitutional republic. That's why we need to make sure that we hold his feet to the fire. Lee Stranahan did a couple of posts in the last few days that I wanted to bring out because this points directly to the problem that we have. Lee works for Sputnik, which is a Russian news source. But he says they give him free rein. But because he works for Sputnik, that's a source of attack. Frankly, they act more American, more constitutionalist than the MSM in this country does. You look at CNN. Look at Don Lemon attacking, saying that we're vile, that Trump is vile. All these horrible things they come out and say. But and they say now they're not going to have civility anymore. Like I said earlier, they have never had civility, ever. It may have been a little covert before, but they've been overt and out in the open about it for a long time, or had their lackeys out in the streets do it. All right, so Lee Stranahan talks a lot. If you don't know about Bill Browder, if you don't know about Khodorkovsky, who's very involved, they're both, Khodorkovsky is Russian. He's very much in the propaganda situation about what's going on in America. You need to go look him up and talk and look at some of Lee's presentations. Bill Browder is involved in painting over that Russia's a bad place and should be our eternal enemy. And he's constantly, people in Congress know who he is, but it's all a show. They let him lie about it, and they keep bringing him in as this great source of information. Yeah, for the destruction of America and the destruction of the good people in Russia. So go look at Lee Stranahan and see what he talks about that. But one of the things he brought up this last week, and he's talked about it for a long time, but he found it necessary to make a special audio broadcast about it. He brings up the fact that one of the things that we're told is that Huma Abedin and the people that really infiltrated our government were the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, it's true that the Muslim Brotherhood is not good in my estimation for a lot of reasons. But the point that he made here is that, in fact, it is not the Muslim Brotherhood that was behind 9/11 or that Huma Abedin and her family were a part of. Did anybody watch his broadcasts? I guess I need to go to chat. Yes, it's on. Let's see if anybody here knows what Lee Stranahan was saying. Let's take a look. Troll for truth, stay out of Syria, I agree. we brought that about, though. Ourselves and the Saudis and the Israelis brought that about. Let's see if anybody knows what Lee said about who the real Muslim problem is. And he explained this because Americans don't understand that Islam is not a single religion that's totally coherent and goes the same way. You have Sunnis, you have Shiites, you have the really radicals, the Wahhabists. And whenever we talk about that, we never break down who it is we're really discussing. The problem are the Wahhabists. They're not even the Shiites in Iran. Not really. Okay, you're saying Saudis, you're kind of right. We're doing the same thing here that happened on Lee's show. If you do the research, you will find out that it's not the Muslim Brotherhood, but it's the Muslim World League. And that's Saudi Arabia. The American people have been led down a road, and we're not going to come out of this if we don't start calling evil for what it is, and I've said that for a long time. Why? Why, President Trump? And I don't want you to have a problem in the midterms. I'm not doing this to stoke problems for the midterms. I'm just saying that this is the kind of thing we need to be aware of. Why are our jobs so important that we're willing to murder innocent people for them? I'm sorry, but I want to be here, and I want to push Trump forward so that the things that he knows he needs to do, at least I think, will happen. But we have to call evil out when it's there. And yes, it might be a tactic. We're in a world war, in fact, right now, and I understand that. But if we lose our principles in the process, if we're willing to abrogate our principles, then what are we fighting for? I worry about it. I noticed in the comments the other day, I saw it go by, but I didn't address it because, people don't listen. These new people that come in, they hear about, like, for instance, my channel here, and they'll hear about it and they'll come in and they'll listen to one show, and this person complained. Notice Roy never talks about dual Israeli citizenship, dual American-Israeli citizenship. He won't cover that. Well, in fact, those of you who follow me know that I've talked about that many, many times. And my position on it has been, and continues to be, if you have dual citizenship, if you have another citizenship in any other country besides the United States, and there are good reasons to make that, particularly places like Israel, Saudi Arabia, London, England, places like that, believe it or not, even England. My position has been, and I'm irritated that people come in and make these accusations because they're just brand new. Now, could it just be a troll? No, I think this one was somebody who just didn't know any better and just wanted to say something. I'm going to make a public statement again. If you have dual citizenship with another country as a United States citizen, you have citizenship in another nation, you should be held ineligible for public office or any federal employment in the United States. At the very minimum, elected offices, directorships, things like that. That's my position. Because you are compromised. How can you swear allegiance to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and belong to another country? In the scriptures it says a man cannot serve two masters. He will either hate the one and love the other, or vice versa. Why do we not have these simple understandings? No dual citizenship person should hold public office in the United States of America. End. Period. That's my position, and I hope you get that out. Okay. I can get pretty emphatic sometimes, I know. Moving on to another quick subject. Everybody, talks about, Mueller wants to get President Trump in there because he'll trip him up on one little tiny thing like what color the sun is and say he lied to the FBI. It's what they did to Flynn. That's one of their tactics. It's called 18 U.S. Code Section 1001. And I'm just going to bring a question up here. I'm not an attorney. I've been a law enforcement officer, both in the civilian side and the military. But it would seem to me that when he acts, the FBI will say that all they got to do is just talk to you. They'll say, "Oh, I'm with the FBI," and you'll say, "Well, today's a nice day, isn't it?" And it's stormy, and they'll say, "Ah, you lied to the FBI," even if it's not a formal investigation. That's basically what they did to Flynn. That's satanic. That's devilish. That's demonic. So it's a bad law in the first place. But my question is this, and this is what I am proposing. If, in fact, it's a crime under 18 U.S.C. Section 1001 to lie to a federal official, I want to know why it's not a crime under that section of the code to lie to the President of the United States, and why that cannot be enforced. He is the senior executive officer of this country responsible for law enforcement. He is, in fact, the lead person in law enforcement. So his attorney general is just supposed to do the job, but it's really the president's position. So I want to know why all these people that have lied to the president, Comey, Clapper, Rice, and I could go on and on. You know who all the people are. I want to know why, when they lied to the president, they can't be charged with that. If they haven't been, if that's not how that's been used, it should be. Absolutely on the money. And a few people wanted to know why, sorry, I'm drinking coffee with a little cream in it this morning. I think I put too much cream. I haven't covered the limo crash. And there's a reason for that, and I'm not going to get into it today. I still don't think there's enough information out there. There are a lot of crazy ideas going around, and I'm not going to pretend like I know, but I have investigated accident scenes before, obviously. I have to admit, when I looked at this limo, and I did see a picture of it sitting in that ravine, if it was going 60 miles per hour, as the witnesses claim, or as a witness claims, and hit a vehicle, apparently hit a couple of pedestrians, and then went into that gully. Now, you know, those big limos, you know, they're pretty tough. But we understand that this one was hacked up a bit and created, probably not abiding by the rules and regulations, but even if it had been, to hit a vehicle and to end up in that ravine like it did, I see a surprising lack of damage. Almost unbelievable lack of damage. And somebody pointed that out, and I'd have to agree. You hit something going... I was in granted it was a VW. I was in a VW I was going through a housing area. It was my mother-in-law's vehicle, as a matter of fact. This didn't put me in good shape with her, but I turned down this street, and it was all dirt street still. They were building the homes, but they hadn't poured the hard stand for the streets. And the sun was starting to set, but it was glaring right into the windshield. But I'm in the middle of the street, so I wasn't too worried, and I was kind of looking and looking. Well, next thing I know, we're not moving. I'm stunned. I don't know what happened. Well, there was the manholes that they put the pipes in the manhole, man covers on them. Well, this one was sticking up just high enough to catch the front end of this VW. I was probably going 5 miles per hour because we're looking at the homes going down through there, right? And wow, the amount of damage. Again, there's no engine or anything in the front of a VW. That's where the trunk is, right? The engine's in the back. But regardless, the damage was pretty substantial. And even at 5 miles per hour, I was stunned. I didn't have any bruises or anything like that. You go on 60, definitely. And yes, people can die at that. But the only thing that I'm looking at right now is the condition of the vehicle. I'm not certain what's happened there, and I'm not going to claim I know. But I am going to say it, in my estimation, from the picture that I have seen, the damage to the vehicle is not concomitant with the claims of the deaths. In my estimation, it's not. Now, who knows whether, and I'm not saying this, so many things are happening to take our discussion off the importance of restoring the constitutional republic, off the midterms, getting Trump what he needs to move forward. I'm not saying it was that. And all these people that are talking about it, I don't want to go there. But I did want you to know that much, that I'm a little concerned that the amount of damage to this vehicle just isn't in keeping with the claims of what happened, in my estimation. Not at 60 miles per hour, I'm afraid. Not only would you have had people thrown around in there, of course, at that speed, but probably some ejections as well, because we know that, as somebody pointed out, and even I mentioned once before, you're not wearing seatbelts. Was the driver? Probably. I don't know that. But it seems like to me that 20 people in a vehicle, somebody would have gone through a window. I've seen it before. There was an accident on I-15 I investigated once. Now, granted, the car, it was a head-on collision. It was on I-15. It was in April, and there was ice on the road. And it's right at the curve where I-215 intersects I-15 it's actually in Midvale, but right at that location. Some of you who are aware of the area might know what I'm talking about. A vehicle coming northbound, it's a curve. The ice, it took it and it spun it across the road and hit another vehicle head on. Now, the combined speed at that time, because it was icy, people were being careful, wasn't that high. I mean, normally in those days, the speed limit there was, if I remember correctly, 65. It may have been 60. But 65 was the normal speed. Well, nobody was going that fast. But I would put the combined speed, and things change. Physics-wise, things double and triple, just small increases in speed. But that accident killed 3 people. 3 survived. Just saying. But the cars were mangled. But 3 people survived. Very terrible thing. I had nightmares about that one for a long time. Just one example. Okay. I tell you what, let's take a little break, and then we'll go to chat, and we'll talk about all this there. How does that sound? Does that make everybody interested? So, like I say, just a real short break, and we'll be right back. All right, here we go. All right. I'm going to try to get into a habit of doing a little thing like that, especially if a break is needed, but just as a matter of course, because I have been a lot of places. You know, most of the pictures that I took were with film cameras, even after digital came out. So I can't really put, I learned later that I had to change that habit, but so I can't put a lot of the pictures that I have on here. Oh yeah, I could dig them out and take pictures with a digital camera and then put them up, but that's probably more effort that I want to put into it. But I've been to some crazy places and taken some crazy pictures. But these are some of the nice ones, so I guess that's okay. We'll just stick it with that. Stick that type of information out there. Okay, well let's go to the live chat and see what you got. Okay. Needs better intermission music. Normally I use my own music. I think most of you know that, or music that I've arranged. But I saw those that are offered on YouTube, and that one was kind of catchy, so I used it. I was in kind of a hurry last night when I made it, but at least it's music, right? I mean, so. At any rate, yeah, I could have used maybe some Italian music because so much of it's about Italy. You can't tell I like Venice, can you? Well, Venice is probably one of my favorite places in the world. That and Verona, Italy. Not so much down on the coast, Sicily and Corsica and those areas. I mean, they're nice, but there's just something about the area in Venice, the architecture, the art. And, of course, it was a special place where I met, and I didn't meet her there, but when I was deployed in 2001, 2002, my wife came over and I took leave and I met her in Venice. So it's kind of a special place for me. But anywhere in Italy is great. So it's one of my favorite things to do. Denise Richards, did you see Bigfoot in the background? No, not on any of those. What's up with the Russian-American Soyuz crash? I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know everything that's going on. That's really not the purpose of my broadcast, which was kind of surprising why people were asking me why I didn't talk about the limo. I try not to talk about things that are in the news a lot because you can get that elsewhere, unless they're really critical. For instance, let me bring this up real quick, even though I'm not answering a chat question. I noticed this morning. It's in the news, but whoops. But I don't know how well it was covered, but I consider it to be a problem. Senator Rand Paul tweeted this. It was yesterday in the morning. Let me read it to you. The FBI director just testified in the U.S. Senate, FBI Director Wray. I asked him if Donald Trump phone conversations are getting collected in the FISA databases. He would not answer. No. And they still haven't released all the things that Trump has ordered to be released. And then he asks, is NSA or FBI listening in on our president? We know bad actors listen to this. This is Senator Rand Paul saying this. We know bad actors exist within the intel community. Reform needed now. What have I been saying for how many years? What is well, for lack of a better term, it's the motto of my channel, the slogan of my channel. The intel community is our most dangerous domestic enemy. These people need to be brought under control. They think that they're a separate branch of government. Indeed, they think they are a government unto themselves. Did I say that right? A government unto themselves that have no responsibility to answer for their actions to the president, much less anybody else. Senator Rand Paul brought that up, and I thought that was absolutely important to say. Apparently also FBI Director Wray told Andrew McCabe, that he has to delay the release of his book. Why? Because there are things in there that they'll claim are national security, but really they're just trying to hide the bad actors. And Ray's involved in that as well. If Ray's so concerned about that, why hasn't he fired people? Why hasn't he criminally charged people in his own organization? This is rampant throughout the IC. And the only thing I would add to Rand Paul's statement there, I wouldn't just have included the FBI and the NSA. I would have included the CIA and indeed the rest of the intelligence community. Yeah, I don't know. Edelson James, nice to see you. When will Trump crush this stuff going on? He has to act the government unto themselves, yes. And you know I've been there for a long time. Watching Hillary the other day, as I showed at the beginning of this broadcast, remember I talked about the Navy admiral that was talking very openly, basically about sedition? And all of the other things that we see, Eric Holder, we see Maxine Waters, we see Chuck Schumer, on down the line, and the way the IC has treated us, the people they're supposed to protect. No, they've set us up. They've used false evidence. They've used evidence that has been gathered illegally. They've used evidence they planted in the media and then came around and used that plant in the media to get warrants on people like us. If they've done it to the president, you know they've done it to us. It's a problem. And like I said, we have to take the midterms back so that Trump has no excuse not to act. Okay, that's how I'm looking at it. Give him what he wants as far as the support in Congress that he needs, the Senate and the House. And then if he doesn't act, then we got to start asking questions about what he's doing. I mean, I've been asking anyway. But certainly it'll become a more poignant point at that time. It's going to be bad, like I said earlier, either way. No matter how that goes, it's going to turn bad, I'm certain, despite what people like Dr. Pachinik say. Okay, let's see. Where's Trump taxes? You know, I really don't care about that. I wouldn't make a big deal about that. Frankly, that's just not an issue. You know, even if his businesses had done nothing but business with Russia, we were pushing to help Russia along, of course, to steal their property, like Browder did. He gave up his U.S. citizenship and went to England after he stole all this stuff out of Russia. He was an oligarch that went over there and stole from Russia under the pretense that we're trying to help them become capitalists. The point is, Hillary Clinton has more deals with Russia than Trump ever has, and probably anybody else in the country. And if you're trying to find his taxes to find out if he's got any connections, so what? And I'm not yelling at you. There are people that are, I'm just saying, you know, that's the fact. That's a ridiculous request, and frankly, anybody that's making that request is just trying to obfuscate the truth. Dave Rice, 2 years later, pizza delivery only gets slower. Yeah, I guess pizza's becoming a main food source these days, isn't it? Yeah, oh really? Jennifer Baker, Rosenstein denied documents and refused to show up today, late coming in. Yeah, I knew he was supposed to come in and testify today. Are you saying he didn't show up or he finally did? I guess that's what I'm at, Jennifer Baker. Because, of course, I'm not paying attention to the news while I'm doing all of this. Yeah, now, Truth Always, you're right. I can't disagree with you. Truth Always says Trump has had both houses since the elections. BS. I understand. It's just, you know, the Republicans talked for a long time, oh, you know, when we get control of the House and the Senate, you know, and we have a Republican president, we're going to reverse Roe versus Wade. We're going to stop funding abortions, et cetera, et cetera. And they never do anything. So I know what you're saying. It could just be a delaying tactic. But it's like I said, if Trump is set to betray us, what is our other option anyway? Remember, I made that video here a while back of crossing a bridge, and I was actually praying pretty hard that day. And then somebody had written up that message, and I was, of course, inspired to go over that particular bridge at that particular time. And it said, remember the message? When there's nowhere to go, stay. When there's nowhere else to go, stay. Where else are we going to go? Yeah, Rosenstein obstructing after he's been on Air Force One with the president. Ooh. Now, a lot of people say, oh, this just proves he's working for the president. I think that was in my own estimation, that little ride down to Florida with the president, that was the president of the United States confronting the next in line in the shadow government of President Obama. I don't think things went very well. We'll see. Well, hey, that's a good point. Zach's will. Trump, to me, is simply the spoon stirring up the kettle. We, the people, are the chefs. I agree 100%. That's why I say Trump is the symbol, is the icon of the awakening of the American spirit in the perfect law of liberty and the constitutional republic. And that's why they attack him. And because of the way they attack him, I have to believe that Trump is real. And I hope I'm not becoming a William Wallace in the end on that, if you know what I mean. Mexico City has been wiped out. I know there are a lot of crazy things going on down there, not just earthquakes, but a lot of other stuff, a lot of fighting and other things going on. We don't hire the chefs. That's right, we don't. Absolutely. We keep hiring the people that are trying to... Let me tell you a story. You like stories, right? We keep hiring people. Even Trump keeps hiring people that are poisoning the food. Instead of hiring the chefs, the people that have supported the American Revolution and the restoration of the Constitutional Republic and his supporters out here in the trenches, he keeps putting these neocons and Trotskyites in there, and I've complained about that for a long time. Well, there's a story that kind of goes along with that. I may have talked about it before. I was invited to lunch once. Well, I've been invited to lunch more than once, but in this particular case, and the entire office went, but I just had to do some things. I just couldn't get away. And everybody got sick the next day. They didn't come into work, and they were out for days and days, and it was crazy. I mean, we had to hire temporaries and all sorts of things to cover the problem. Well, come to find out, talk about chefs. It was in a Mexican restaurant. And I have nothing. I love Mexican food, so it has nothing to do with that. But it shows you when you hire the wrong people with ulterior motives what happens, and it goes along with what you just said. So all these people are sick, and so the health department went in to check it out, and then eventually the police got involved, and they arrested the cook, the head cook, who had done what? You all ready for this? He had defecated in the beans. No kidding. He had defecated in the beans. I have thanked my wonderful Father in heaven, my God, that I did not go to lunch that day. Oh my gosh, yes. Bob Rayburn, Roy, now see what you were saying about Q. It's all BS. I'm not going to, I don't talk about Q. I just read that so you'd know that I did see it. And yes, it is. You're right. Wow, yeah, Lisa Chavez. Yeah, thank you. The guy that was building a bomb was going to take it to the Washington Mall, yes. And again, I would cover those types of things, but all of this is being pushed by the opposition to the constitutional republic. And we've allowed these people to come in and I'd like to say that Islam was a religion, and I'm not saying that this person was Islamic, I'm not saying that, but a lot of them are following suit now who aren't because of the entire leftist Marxist program. But we've allowed these people in, and we shouldn't have done it. We should have kept all the interviews and everything going about whether these people want to assimilate into the American constitutional republic. And of course, they used the First Amendment, the freedom of religion, and all that as a cover. And I know a lot about that because that became an issue in the Mormon area with the state of Deseret back in the 1800s. But I'm not saying I agreed with Manifest Destiny. That's not what I'm saying. But I've seen these types of things before. You hide behind a religion that's really a political movement. Yeah, not good. Not good. Yeah, in the beans, Edelson. In the beans. That's interesting. That could take on another connotation, but we won't do that today. Do I think, this is from Finest Planet 88. I see your comments on here quite a bit, and you even get me on Twitter. Thank you for doing that. And I do appreciate a lot of things you send me. Do you think Ivanka will replace Haley? I have no idea. You know, Trump puts these things out there, gets everybody looking in one direction, and then he does something else. So I have no idea. If I were him, there's no way in hell I'd put her in the UN. But then again, if I were him, there would be no way in hell I would have put Nikki Haley in there either. So who knows? Okay. White H later, Allroyd doing the Q crap again. I didn't do the Q crap. I said I'm not going to cover it. Oh well, bye. You know, like I care. I was addressing somebody else there, but should be a stiff penalty for doing stuff to people's food. Yeah, I'll say. Yeah, I'll say. Jack Kennedy, no, Tracy Beans. I knew somebody would make that connection, and I did not mean to do that. So anyway. Actually, Glenn Connon makes a very good statement. He says, religion is the original diversion's psychological operation. Yes, religion is not spirituality. I agree 100%. To make institutions, if it's for anything other than, and even in education, or just to help you through, religious institutions can help you through some very serious times, some very difficult times. They can offer you help, but there's that catch too, where then most of them expect that you become loyal to them. And it can even get to the point where that loyalty to them, it becomes more important than your loyalty to God. And I've discussed that before. So while they can serve a purpose, they also have a tendency to go beyond that good purpose and become controlling over your life. And interpret Scripture entirely incorrectly, so that you emulate their interpretations. And that's one of the things that Jesus did. He tore down those stakes. If you read my book, The Crimson Thread, I might as well punch it here right now. It's not a rehash of the New Testament. As I said before, it's an historical, as best as we can put it together. I would change a couple of things at this point. I'm not going to discuss that, though, but they weren't major. Because, when you keep studying, you do find, and you say, okay, well, this might be a little different than I thought. But the point is, it's not a rehash of the New Testament. And it talks about that very thing, about how the real idea was to free you up so that you could have a direct conduit to God, and not be beholden to anybody else. But that's why that was such an important movement back in the first century, because Rome looked at it, and the Herodians, who were their puppets, who were the people that were actually over the Judeans, because the Herodians weren't Jews, they were Edomites, Arabs. And it talks about that. That's why I say Saudi Arabia and Israel, there's so many people, but the leadership. But at any rate, so that was all about control. And if you read my book, you'll understand that, at least beginning to understand it. Jody is hearing voices again. No worries. Is that the one that said I was talking about Q? Because I'm not talking about Q. I just addressed that one little thing there that somebody brought up. Wasn't that amazing? Tinfoil hat. People do still believe in Trump. That rally was packed to the rafters last night. It was awesome to be there. Yeah, I agree. Because his rhetoric is so good. But I am concerned about, and I said it before, I'm not seeing his rhetoric duplicated on the ground. But I'm supporting him because where else are we going to go? And I have a pretty good feeling that he really is what he says he is, because the evil's attacking him so viciously, and attacking us who support him so viciously. That can't be a staged event. They didn't need it. Do you understand? They didn't need it. If they had gotten Hillary in there, they would have had it all. So I just don't think, I can't believe that he's setting us up for betrayal. I can't believe that, even though I'm aware of the Braveheart story, the real historical thing William Wallace and who he thought his friend was, the Bruce. Right? If you go back and look at that story, that was treachery. That was betrayal. I don't think we're there. I don't think that's what's happening. Okay? Yeah, Diane Nolan. Trump is what he says he is. And he's fighting a huge, horrible battle. Can you imagine being on a plane with Rosenstein for an hour and then he still goes to the Senate and he refuses to hand over the documents? It's like I said, I think Rosenstein thinks he's got a lot more power than he really has. He and Mueller are the voices of the shadow government. That's the way it looks to me. There is a war going on in the government. That's the way I look at this. And I've said that since the Boston bombing. Yeah, Don Shears, and I agree. I support Trump. He also, Roy, is learning as he goes. And I agree. You know, he didn't come in there thinking that he was going to, and why he didn't know, I'm not certain, okay? But, I mean, I would have known, you know, if I'd gone there. But I think he thought that with his influence in the past, you know, people would do the right thing. Well, he knows differently now. Absolutely. As have others. They finally realized that this is not a battle over ideology, simply, you know, dialectic. This is real war. These are the beginning stages. Actually, we're well down the road to a civil war. We're in one. Some shooting has already started, some violence, but it could kick off very easily, like I've said. So be prepared down the road here. Yeah, he has no help. He needs people to have his back and put the bad guys in jail. And we've been saying that, Diane. Nolan? Is that who that is? Diane? Yeah. We've been saying that, and it doesn't make any sense. I forget who was talking about it, but he said, but it was a news show somewhere, I can't remember, but Trump has thought that he needed people in the government that were there already so that he could keep the wheels of government moving, and that he needed people with experience. The government's not that hard to run. He could bring some of us supporters that will back him 100%. There are people that have been in the military, and I'm not saying this about myself. I mean, I've got a lot of baggage, right? I mean, seriously. Can you imagine if he brought me into the White House, what that would, oh my God. You know, that was, okay, but there are others, you know. A lot of others. I'm not saying that they would go, but Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer, who I have some disagreements with on foreign policy, okay? But that he's a good guy. I know he's a good guy. Matt Bracken. And there are others, and I could name a whole bunch of them, right? And you probably could too, that are real Trump supporters that haven't been in the government. Yes, he should bring them in. I agree 100%. He's got to stop playing. And my Republican insider friend, as I've pointed out before, he says if Trump makes that same mistake again of bringing these neocons and these Trotskyites and these deep staters into his administration after all of this, we just have to wash our hands and get ready for what's coming. This is going to be telling. If he makes that mistake again, it means either he doesn't learn or it's part of the plan. And I don't mean the plan to fix the country, because it won't be. But I don't think that's the case. I just think it's really going to be telling who he brings in to replace Haley. It's really going to be telling I want him to get rid of Bolton, bring somebody else into that. Bolton's not, that guy shouldn't be there. Period. I don't care what influence over the decades he has. We need to get rid of him. He needs to be out, just like McMaster. I am a retired Master Sergeant USAF. I would gladly help. Truth always. Thank you so much. Yes. He has a lot of people he could pull from out here, and he has the resources that he could find them. It's not like he can't find them. He could have people, and there are ways to do it, I know, where he could find good people to help him. He just has to make that step. Brett Kavanaugh's deep state. I agree. He's SES. I know that. But and he was not my choice. But he was better than anything Hillary would have brought in. Okay, like I said before, I was disappointed in that. But after what I saw, the type of attacks he went through, obviously people know on the deep state side that he's moldable and he will do the right thing if led correctly. Now, as a Supreme Court justice, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that he will be able to make decisions supporting the constitutional republic and know he's not going to get blowback from the executive for it. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Yeah, the Senate won't confirm positions. I know a lot of those still haven't been done yet. McConnell has not done his job. I agree. I mean, he did on the Kavanaugh thing, and maybe this will give him an incentive to start doing the right thing. But McConnell's a problem. He's dirty. They're all dirty. I think the only one in there are only a few I trust, and I hope I'm not, being led astray. Jim Jordan, obviously. Matt Gaetz to some point. He bothers me on some things. But okay, Devin Nunes, yes. Rand Paul, certainly. And like I said a long time ago, Rand Paul, in my estimation, would make a good president, but not now. He just doesn't have the command presence. Despite the fact that I think he has all the right ideas and is willing to implement them, he doesn't have the command presence to do it. Trump does. And that was needed at this point in time. Absolutely. Okay, we've been going for an hour and 3 minutes. Gee, everybody, thanks for coming. I hope this has been of some interest to you today. Who knows what the weekend will bring. I have kind of a busy weekend today set up for this weekend. It's been set up. Actually, it was set up last night, but it's going to be an interesting weekend for me. I'm looking forward to it, and going to meet some more people, and it's something I should have done a long time ago. So, at any rate, I want to thank everybody for coming. Remember, we're entering a dangerous time. I don't think it matters which way the midterms go. I want supporters of Trump's agenda to be brought in, so we have to give him that mandate. In the battleground states in particular, but even in the non-contested states like mine, Wyoming, it's the number of votes to support the president that are going to send a message. So get out there and do that as best you can, okay? It really is important. I don't think, the American people, this is supposed to be a constitutional republic where we get to have a say in our government. So in essence, we are responsible in the end for what happens. So like the Luciferians, they tell you what they're going to do prior to doing it because they're under a curse where they have to do that. If you understand it or not, that's a fact. They have to tell you what they're going to do to you before they do it in some way. Wow, I'm getting ringing in the ears, so that tells me I'm saying something I'm supposed to say. By the same token, we are going to be held responsible for the direction of our government. Whether that should be the case or not, that's the way it's going to be. And I know our power is low, but when we have an opportunity to speak out and we fail to do that, silence is agreement. Do not be silent. Look at what Eric Holder said. Kick them when they're down. Sorry, I hit the mic. Look what Maxine Waters said. Make them uncomfortable. Get in their faces. Look what Loretta Lynch said. People are going to die. Look at what Senator Kaine said. Fight them in the streets. Look what Hillary Clinton said. We're not going to be civil with people that disagree with us. Projection. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground. Keep your situational awareness on high. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. God bless you. God bless yours. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution. And as always, I pray that God will bless Donald Trump in all of his righteous endeavors. That the Spirit of the Lord may descend upon him and give him the spirit of discernment as the dews from heaven, and again, probably need a downpour, that he will have the courage to do the right thing. See you next time.